Chapter 13. Feeling Watched.
Saturday, November 28th, 2009. I'm back. It's 9:30 p.m. on Saturday night. Couldn't post anything last night. Went to Creek Camp. Here's what happened. After talking to Autumn, I took down all the camera traps and put them away. Then I got some food and firewood and went over to the Creek Camp. After building a fire, I sat down and waited to see if the big guy would show up. Around 11 p.m., I heard a whoop and a whistle. I looked up and saw him peeking around a tree at the edge of camp. At first, he didn't want to come in. He just stood behind that tree, making a chattering sound. I said, "Come on, I got some food for you." Holding out some fruit. Still nothing. So I went to him. It was one of the few times he let me walk up to him. I knew something was wrong. I held out a bag of apples and he reached around the tree, took them and walked into the darkness. I went back and sat down, not sure what was going on. Short time later, he came back, walking into camp like he was afraid. He was looking around like he lost something. I think he was looking for the cameras, but they were in the boat in a box where he couldn't see them. I went to the boat and got a box of fruit and bread for him. He took it and sat down on the log and started to eat. He was chattering like a monkey, talking up a storm. I've never seen him act like this before, and it had me worried. He took the loaf of bread and looked at it, and then at me, then back at the bread. Something was wrong with the bread. Looking at it, I said, "Oh crap, I forgot the honey." I went to the boat, got a jar of honey, and poured some on the bread. He loves that. I went back to the boat and put the honey back in the food locker. While I was there, I got the camcorder, turned it on, and was fooling around with it, pointing it everywhere but at him. He was watching me and he didn't seem to mind, so I slowly pointed it at him and started filming him eating. He stopped for a second and then went back to eating. I turned back toward the boat, turned on the night shot, and did the same thing, slowly walking around camp. I turned toward him, pointed it at his feet, and slowly moved upward. I was about 8 feet in front of him and moved it up to his face. Big mistake. In one quick move, he lunged at me, holding his hand out, fingers spread wide. I had no time to react. It happened in a split second. He grabbed the camera, shoving it hard into my chest. I went flying backward through the air, landing headfirst in the boat. He took the camera and crushed it with one hand. Then, slamming it to the ground, he let out a scream and ran into the swamp. I lay there for a while, not able to move. I was in a lot of pain and stuck, wedged in head first on my left side. I finally got up and sat down on the seat and I could see blood everywhere. My shirt was soaked red, my head hurt, my left arm was scraped bad up to my shoulder. I touched the left side of my head above my ear. It was bloody and hurt to the touch, and I could feel the blood running down my neck. I tried to get out of the boat and slipped and fell onto the ground. I felt dizzy and weak and like I was going to throw up. I sat beside the boat, resting my head on the gunwale and passed out. When I woke up, the fire had almost gone out and the sun was coming up. I was cold and weak. I crawled over to the camera and picked it up, and it was mashed. I knew how it felt. Crawling back to the boat, I got in and went back to the river camp. I ran the bow up on the sand, got out and stumbled into camp. I felt weak and dizzy and climbed into my sleeping bag, pulling another one over me. I went to sleep and slept till late in the afternoon. Around 4:30 p.m., I heard something walking around camp. Slowly taking my pistol out of the holster, I eased the cover off my head and took a look around, and there he was standing with his back to me. Still lying down, I pointed it at him and cocked the hammer back. He turned and froze, staring at the gun now pointed at his head, my finger on the trigger. I was still covered with blood from the night before. I said to him, "Get your sorry ass out of here, you son of a bitch, before I forget that we're friends." He turned and ran into the woods. I rolled over and went back to sleep, and when I awoke, it was dark. Getting up, I started a fire and took off my shirt, heated up some water, and washed the dried blood off me. I got my first aid kit and patched myself up as best I could. And after looking in the mirror, I can add a black eye to my list. Ate some soup and crackers, and I feel better now. It's cold, and I want to go home. I've had enough of this crap. I'll stay tonight and pack up and go home in the morning. If that asshole comes around me tonight, I'm going to go skunk ape on his ass. It's 11:40 p.m. now and no sign of him. Don't feel like sleeping. Think I'll just sit here by the fire for a while. Ain't heard from Autumn. I guess she has better things to do than fool with my dumb ass. What's the point in doing any of this crap anyway? It don't matter what I do. At the end of the day, I'm still in this alone, getting my ass beat for nothing. I'm sitting here bloody and beaten, cold and alone, wishing I had a bottle of fuck it all. I know more about this than all them stupid ass wipes. They would have crapped themselves if they'd have been here last night. And I know if they were here last night, they wouldn't be here now. Bunch of sissy ass clowns. And they call themselves experts. What a bunch of losers. If they know so much, how come none of them have a skunk ape to kick their ass? But some people think dumb assholes like them do good work. Don't quit your day job. That's right. You jackass, numb-nutted, tree-knocking turd spots. Well, I feel better now. Venting is a lot of fun, don't you think? Oh well, I'm gonna take a boat ride. No, I'm going to bed. It's 1:40 in the morning, Sunday. Sunday, November 29th, 2009, 8:20 in the morning. The most amazing thing happened last night. It has me shook up and excited, and I'm trying to understand what happened. I was sleeping and felt something kick my foot. I thought I was dreaming. So I rolled over, pulling the blanket over my head. It kicked me again. This time, I knew it wasn't a dream and didn't move. It kicked me again. I rolled over, looking up, and it was my friend, the big hairy mud sucker, that beat my ass for pointing the camera at him. I sat up and said, "What do you want? Did you come back to kick my ass again, or are you hungry?" "Well, whatever the reason, I'm sore and I don't feel well and my head hurts. Thank you very much. You know where the food is. Help yourself. I'm going back to sleep." I lay back down, pulling the blanket over my head. He reached down, pulled the blanket off me, and stepped back, dropping the blanket to the ground. "Hey, Snapperhead, it's cold. Give me that back." "I don't feel like doing this right now." "Did I not say that I didn't feel well? Now leave me alone." He just stood there next to the big oak and stared at me. Getting up and grabbing my coat, I tossed some wood on the fire. I walked over to him, looked him right in the eye and said, "Okay, I'm up. Now what is it? What do you want?" He didn't move. He just stared into my eyes. So I stared back waiting to see what he was going to do. I started to feel strange and took a step back, not taking my eyes off his. Then it happened. It came rushing over me, a feeling of deep sadness and despair. It felt like I was swimming in sadness. It was taking over me, and I started to shake. My legs felt like rubber. I thought I was going to fall down. My eyes started to water, and I felt like I was going to cry. The feeling was so overwhelming that I couldn't stop it. I looked at him. Tears were running down his face. His eyes were watering. It wasn't me that was sad. It was him. I was feeling what he was feeling. It was overpowering. I had the feeling of deep sorrow and a wanting to be forgiven. I said to him, I know you didn't mean to hurt me. I'm not mad at you. I was wrong for doing what I did. I'm sorry, and I want you to forgive me. Hell, you're my only friend, and you're allowed to kick my ass once in a while. I'm truly sorry. I'll never do it again. And to show you I mean what I say, come with me. I walked down to the boat, wiping the tears from my eyes. He followed me, stopping about halfway there. I reached into the boat and pulled out the box that I had the cameras in. Opening the lid, I took two out and held them up so he could see. I said, "Never again will I try to hurt you with these," and threw them in the river. I got two more and threw them as far as I could into the river. Grabbing the last two, I did the same with them. I took the bionic ear and threw it in as well. I took the smashed Sony camcorder and walked over to him. He stepped back. I held it up to him and said, "Do you understand? Never again will I do this." I turned and threw it as far as I could. Then I turned and looked into his eyes. Know what I mean, Vern? Never again. I walked past him, slapping him on the arm, and said, "Are you hungry? Do you want to eat? Come on." As I walked back to camp, I could feel the sadness leave my body, pouring off me like water, leaving my soul clean and new. He stood there for a while looking out into the river. The moon was bright, and I could see the moonlight reflecting off the white sand, almost glowing around him. I stood there in awe, looking at what a magnificent creature he is, and thinking how lucky I am that he lets me into his world. Sunday, November 29th, 2009, 8:10 p.m. I made it home and I am glad it's over with. I'm sore and can hardly move without hurting somewhere. It'll take me a while to get over this. I've been up since 3 a.m. when I got woke up. It's been a wild night and I have a lot to think about. We sat in camp until sunup and we came to an understanding, I think. I tried some of the things that Autumn told me to do, and in some weird way, I think she's on to something. I went Spock on them and did a mind meld, so to speak, and I think for the first time we really understood each other. He ate and then leaned back against that big old oak and closed his eyes. I sat in my chair in front of him and stared at him and tried to see inside his head. After a while, he opened his eyes and looked into mine. We sat like that for 2 hours, and in all that time, he never moved, not so much as a blink of an eye. I saw things in my mind's eye and felt things that I don't understand, but in the end, I think I have a better understanding of what he is all about. I'll go into more detail some other time. I'm tired and need to get some sleep. I have to be at work at 6 a.m. Monday, November 30th, 2009. Last night, I woke up 3 times with Big Guy on my mind, and when I got up this morning, I had him on my mind. I couldn't stop thinking about him and the things that happened last weekend. The thoughts were so strong that I could hardly work. All I could think about was him. Then around 10:30 a.m., it came to me like a switch was turned on, and I could see it all clearly. I understood what it meant and why things went the way they did on the river. The night of Thanksgiving, I got a bad feeling that something was watching me. I also had a strong feeling that I needed to protect myself, not from him, but from something unknown. A feeling that something had changed, and in a bad way. I had a bad feeling about being there, like something was going to happen. I felt nervous and on edge and wanted to get out of there. It was like a distant fear of something unknown. I've never been afraid like that before, even when I should have been. This was different. It was a fear and mistrust of something I couldn't see. And as I wrote it down on my laptop, the feeling got stronger. I could feel the eyes on me. I could feel them staring at me, and I felt fear, and I didn't understand why until today. It came to me so clearly that I could almost see it in my mind's eye. It wasn't me who was afraid. It was him. He was the one who saw the eyes looking at him. He was the one not trusting what he didn't understand. He wanted to see me, but was afraid I'd changed and wanted to hurt him in some way. He was the one wanting to get away from there, not me. I was feeling what he was feeling. It was almost like he was trying to let me know that he was afraid to show himself for fear of what might happen. And when I pointed the camera at him, all he saw was the eye shining in his face and was afraid that I was using the eye to hurt him. The end result was me getting the crap knocked out of me and scaring the only friend I have in the world who understands me. Right after I got this understanding, I got a strong feeling that he was pleased and happy that I understood. I saw this as clear as daylight. It was like he was telling me why things went the way they did. Looking back, I can see that he tried to tell me Sunday morning when we sat under that old oak staring at each other, but my mind was not open to hear what he was saying. And he wanted me to know this, and he was trying to warn me not to take his trust for granted. What he's given me, he can take away, and that would be a tragic loss for the both of us. Autumn. I felt this in my soul. It was the most intense feelings I think I've ever had. What do you think?
All day Sunday, I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off, being the single mom to a toddler. I didn't get a chance to sit down and check our online document again until Monday morning. After finally reading what had happened, I immediately called Mike. He answered, breaking his usual rule of not talking to me on the phone from work. Despite the fact that he had written it all down for me, he related again the events of Saturday night and Sunday to me over the phone in detail. The conversation lasted almost 2 hours. He was really shaken up by everything that had happened and sounded terrible. When I asked him how he was feeling, he complained of being dizzy and lightheaded, that his head still hurt, and that he was pretty banged up. I urged him to go see a doctor. I was afraid he might have a concussion. Mike repeatedly stressed to me how strong the feelings had been, the fear, the sense of eyes watching him, the intense sadness he experienced when Enoch returned on Sunday. I was intrigued by his description of this seemingly emotional, non-verbal communication between himself and the creature. I have come to know Mike as someone who is reluctant to interpret much of anything. He sticks to the facts and simply relays them in a matter-of-fact manner. Not only that, Mike simply isn't a mushy or touchy-feely kind of person. He's a man's man. His gruff exterior holds the world at arm's length, and his personality doesn't lend itself to emotional displays. It was surprising to hear him emphasize, again and again, such powerful emotions. He was overwhelmed. I could hear it in his voice. I knew how the story might sound to others, those who didn't know Mike like I did. I could hear the detractors now. How convenient. He threw the cameras in the river, but I understood. This man, who had gotten closer to one of these creatures than anyone I'd known, had become the very thing he hated, a researcher with an agenda. In his recounting of that night, I could hear the disgust in his voice. Despite the fact that he was ranting at me and everyone else in the world, I knew that he was very angry with himself. It wasn't until almost 2 months later, when we were talking again about that weekend, that the full impact of it hit him.
This has really been bothering me. When I called you from the river camp and you scolded me for putting those cameras up, I felt like an ass. As I took them down, I was feeling really disgusted with myself. I become the one thing I hated most, a tree knocker. You didn't know how much your words stung me. But did I stop? No. Did I go all the way back to the way it was before? No. I'm ashamed to say that I didn't. I was hell bent on getting a photo to prove to you that this was real. I felt like it was time to put up or shut up. So what did I do? I went out there and put that damn camera in his face and got my ass kicked for my troubles.
Even his established relationship with Enoch didn't save him from the creature's swift reaction to having a camera pointed at his face. Enoch's reaction to the camera, once the infrared light was turned on, furthered my suspicions that these creatures can see infrared. "No more," I told him. "Don't do it again. I didn't require a picture to believe you in the first place, and it isn't worth your health or your safety."
Don't worry about it.
He replied, his voice dry with humor.
I don't have the camera anymore anyway.